Installing Hyper-V, that's a pretty easy thing to do. We've been working with it for a while throughout these videos, but with all of the singing about how great Server Core is, it's inevitable that some of you will want to install Hyper-V on a Server Core machine, since Server Core is technically more secure and it's faster than its GUI equivalent. So in this video, you're going to learn how you can install Hyper-V on a Server Core machine. However, this video will not be about how to install Server Core itself, as we've already got videos showing you how exactly you can do that. In fact, the video that I'm referring to, which is simply called an Introduction to Server Core, that video details the exact steps that I've taken to create the Server Core machine that we'll be using in this video. So if you're stuck and you're unsure how to get your Server Core installation to the point where I am now, then just watch that video, then we'll be at the exact same spot together. And what we have now is really only a Server Core machine. I've set the host name, the IP address, the default gateway, DNS, I've added it to our domain, and I've enabled remote desktop. So if you can do all that, then you and we're in sync. Again, all of that's detailed in our Introduction to Server Core video. Now before we can install the Hyper-V role though through our Server Core machine, the first thing we'll want to do is install a required update from Microsoft. Now this patch here, which you can see at this URL, is obviously a freely available patch from Microsoft's website, but you could also download it through Windows Update as well if you're using that with your Server Core machine. Okay, so here we are, we're on our Server Core machine, and I've already downloaded this patch and I've copied it over to this Server Core machine, and you can see I've got it waiting here patiently on the root of my C drive. So to install it, we're going to enter in wusa.exe, which is the Windows Update standalone installer application, and then we'll tell it the name of the patch. And that of course is Windows 6. I won't bother reading out that KB number. So that's the full command. We'll hit enter. And this is going to want to install this patch as the window says, so we'll click on OK to install it. Alright, well after a brief pause we can see the patch is installed, and as this window says, we will need to reboot this machine, so I'm going to pause the video here, I'll click restart, and we'll be back in a moment. Alright, we're back, our Server Core server has been rebooted, so now we're ready to install Hyper-V. But before we do, you might want to just verify that the patch did install correctly, and to do that we can use WMIC, or the WMI command prompt. So the command we're looking for is WMIC QFE list, and if we run that, it's going to show us all of the patches installed on this system. But as you can see, the output is kind of all over the place. Let's run it again, but this time we'll add in a /format:/list, and we'll hit enter. And now we've got some nicely formatted output here, and it's going to show any patches and service packs that have been installed. And if you're seeing what I'm seeing right now, and that's this patch here, this hotfix here, then you're ready to install the Hyper-V role. Alright, so let's do that now. So we'll use the following command, start/w oc setup, and we're going to be setting up the Microsoft Hyper-V role. Now this is a case-sensitive command here, so you will need to type it in as you see it with the capitalization of the Microsoft Hyper-V. So we'll hit enter, and even though we're installing a role here, I'm not going to bother pausing this video, as you'll soon see that it's pretty quick to install this, certainly quicker than using the Server Manager console that we'd use from the Windows GUI. Okay, well, it's done. We're asked to restart this server, so this time again we're going to pause the video and we'll click yes to restart. Okay, well we're back. Our Server Core server has been restarted, so we'll want to verify that Hyper-V was in fact installed properly. So to do that, we'll use the oc list command, and we're going to pipe that into the find command, and we'll look for the word installed. Now we'll hit enter. Actually, if we run this command, what it's going to do, it's going to output all of the roles and show us whether they're installed or not. Now truth be told, this output here is a bit messy, and if we scroll up past all of these roles here that are shown as not installed, you can see here that Hyper-V is in fact listed as installed. But to clean up this output a little bit better, we could rerun that same last command, but pipe the output there into the find command again, and this time we'll use a dash or a /v switch, which tells our find command not to show what we find, which is the text this time we'll be looking for the term not installed. Alright, well, we'll hit enter there, and what we should see this time, our output has been cleaned up and it's only showing those roles that are actually installed, which, as you can see this time, is only our Hyper-V role that of course we just installed a moment ago. So now we have Hyper-V fully installed on our server core machine, and it's ready to begin work as our host for our virtual machine, and it's ready to be managed. But that might beg the question, how do I manage Hyper-V now? There's no GUI. Well, that's true, but if you want a GUI, you can have one. You can easily download and install the Hyper-V management tools for Windows Vista, and you can find that on Microsoft's website, or you can install the remote administration tool on a GUI version of Windows 2008. Okay, well, I've just switched over to our domain controller here, which is running Windows Server 2008 R2 in fact. So in our server management console, we'll open that up, we'll click Features, we'll choose Add Features. Now we'll scroll down a little and we'll expand Remote Server Administration Tools, and you can see that some of these are actually installed already. So we'll expand Role Administration Tools, and we'll select Hyper-V Tools. We'll click Next, and then Install. Now, if this machine was already a Hyper-V server, we wouldn't then need to install these tools. We'd just pop open Server Manager and connect directly to our server core machine. But this is a valid alternative when we don't have a GUI version of Windows 2008 that's already running Hyper-V. Alright, well, it's done, so we'll click Close. Now we'll click Start. We'll choose Administrative Tools, and here we've got a new option, the Hyper-V Manager. So we'll fire up that console. And this console should be pretty familiar to you guys right now. It's the same one we've been using throughout these videos. So we'll need to connect to our server core machine. So to do that, we'll right click on Hyper-V Manager here and we'll choose Connect to Server. Now obviously it's not going to be this local computer since this machine isn't running Hyper-V, so we'll choose another computer, and the host name of our server core machine I simply called SO1. So we'll click OK, and if everything's good, we'll be connected to our server core machine that's running Hyper-V. And obviously this is bringing up the familiar console that we've been using throughout these videos. So using this method, you're able to manage your server core Hyper-V role just like you would any other GUI enabled version. In this video you've seen how to install the Hyper-V role on a server core version of Windows 2008. It's pretty easy to install Hyper-V. It's just a couple of commands, and here we are, we're managing our server core Hyper-V role. So there's no excuse really for not even giving Hyper-V on server core some consideration. Technically, it's going to be more secure and probably faster than a GUI equivalent, since the footprint of Windows 2008 itself is so much smaller. So we hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'd like to thank you for watching.